What's up, everybody? It's currently like 12:22 midnight. Damn. I might be up all night long trying to record this video. I gotta put my phone on the desk, actually. So, this video, as we can see, is going to be in regards to Uranian and cosmobiological, astrological elements. So, the Uranian matrix, a technical analysis of midpoints, 90 degrees and 45 degrees, dial interpolation, and cosmobiological structures for the natives chart. We're going to be using my chart as an example, and I was able to craft this report with the help of DeepSeek AI by punching in my calculations and giving it the prompt necessary to fulfill this here Geotish Research Observatory report. So please like, subscribe, comment, share if you dare, encourage, peace and love. And let's get started. So here is the subject native ID, which just has the date of birth, time of birth, and location. We have our objective here, which is to incorporate Uranian astrology, cosmobiology, midpoint structures, and 90-45 degree dial interpolation into the natives chart analysis to reveal deeper predictive layers. So we have this executive summary here, which is the Uranian matrix, essentially showing our system, the key finding, and significance. For example, we see Uranian astrology, and we see the key finding is the natives chart contains multiple eighth harmonic structures, indicating sudden, fated, and transformative events. And the 2027 through 2029 breakthrough is triggered by Uranian hard aspects. Okay. Also, cosmobiology, the 90 degree dial. The natives' midpoints reveal precise timing windows for career, relationships, and relocation. The 90 degree dial shows exact activation points for major life events. 45 degree dial. The natives chart contains multiple 45 degrees and 135 degree aspects, indicating intense pressured and karmic patterns. The Saturn return 2035 is preceded by a 135 degree activation in 2033. And midpoint structures. The natives chart contains multiple planetary pictures that reveal the soul's purpose and life path. The native's destiny is encoded in Venus Sun equals MC, indicating a public, creative, and relational career. Unified verdict. Uranian astrology and cosmobiology reveal that the natives chart is structured around hard harmonic aspects, being 45 degrees, 90 degrees, and 135 degrees, that indicate intense life experiences, sudden breakthroughs, and transformative events. The 2027 through 2029 breakthrough is triggered by a 90 degree dial activation of the Venus MC midpoint, while the Saturn return 2035 is preceded by a 135 degree activation of the Sun Saturn midpoint. So this is how, a midpoint technical analysis for a natal consultation or a forecast would look like here. And also we have an introduction to Uranian astrology and cosmobiology, going over what is Uranian astrology. Well, it was developed by Friedrich Sigrun and Alfred White in the early 20th century. It's a precise mathematical system that uses the 8th harmonic, 45 degrees, as its foundation, with the key principles and explanations. So we see 8th harmonic, 45 degree dial aspects are 0 degrees, 45 degrees, 90 degrees, 135 degrees, and 180 degrees, which are all multiples of 45 degrees. Planetary pictures. Midpoint structures. A planet is the midpoint of two others. Trans-Neptunian planets. Hypothetical planets being Cupido, Hades, Zeus, Kronos, Apollon, Admetos, Vulcanus, and Poseidon that add nuance. Dial calculation. The 90 degrees and 45 degree dials compress the zodiac to reveal hidden harmonic patterns. So what is cosmobiology? It was developed by Reinhold Eberton, uses the 90 degree dial and midpoint analysis to predict life events. So now we go over the cosmobiology key principles. We see the 90-degree dial. The zodiac is compressed into 90-degree quadrants. Each degree is 4 degrees in the dial. Midpoint analysis. The midpoint between two planets is a sensitive point. Solar arcs. Arc directions, 1 degree per year, reveal timing. Transits to midpoints. Transiting planets activate midpoints. Okay. So why Uranian cosmobiology for this native? We have the reason and explanation here. We can see it's an intense chart. The native's chart has multiple 45 degrees and 135 degree aspects, indicating intense life experiences. Sudden breakthrough. Uranian astrology excels at predicting sudden fated events, as well as karmic timing. Cosmobiology reveals the exact timing of karmic events in midpoint precision. The native's chart contains powerful midpoint structures that reveal destiny. Now we're going over the 90-degree dial interpolation, the 4:1 ratio. And we see the 90-degree dial methodology. So the 90-degree dial compresses the 360-degree zodiac into 90 degrees quadrants. Each degree in the dial represents 4 degrees in the zodiac. Okay. So we have our step, calculation, and example. First, we divide each planet's longitude by 90. Sun, for me, is at 338 degrees. We divide by 90. 3, remainder being 68 degrees. Next, the remainder is the dial position. So Sun, 68 degrees. And each quadrant equals 90 degrees. So dial positions 0 through 90. And now we have the natal 90 degrees dial positions. And that looks like the planet, longitude, 90-degree dial position, and interpretation. So, for example, the Sun, we see it's at 338 degrees, Pisces 8 degrees, 68 degrees, the 90-degree dial position. This is the longitude. And we interpret creative, spiritual, humanitarian. Moon, 186 degrees, Libra, 6 degrees, emotional, diplomatic, relational. Mercury, 348 degrees, Pisces 18 degrees, 78 degrees, intuitive, creative, intellectual. And it goes on to Venus, which goes from Pisces 0 degrees to 60 degrees. Mars goes from Capricorn 14 degrees to just 14 degrees. Jupiter goes from 18 degrees to 18 degrees. Saturn, 21 degrees. Uranus, 66 degrees. Neptune at 56 degrees. Pluto at 84 degrees. Ascendant at 54 degrees. And of course, the midheaven at 30 degrees. Okay, so now we look at the critical 90-degree dial structures. And the first structure here is Venus equals MC, 60 degrees equals 30 degrees. So we have the factor and the explanation here. So Venus, 60 degrees equals MC, 30 degrees. The native's relationships and career are fused. Her success depends on building connections. And we look at the activation and we see Jupiter transits 60 degrees in 2028, career breakthrough through relationships. And now in structure 2, we have the Sun equals the ascendant, adding the midheaven. 68 degrees equals 54 degrees, adding 30 degrees. So Sun, 68 degrees equals the ascendant at 54 degrees, adding that midheaven of 30 degrees. So the native's identity is shaped by her public persona and career. She is meant to be seen. In activation, Saturn transits 68 degrees in 2035, identity crises and career mastery. Okay. Structure 3, Moon equals Saturn and Neptune. 6 degrees equals 21 degrees, adding 56 degrees. So Moon, 6 degrees, equals Saturn, 21 degrees, adding Neptune, 56 degrees. Native's emotions are a mix of discipline, Saturn, and idealism, Neptune. That activation, Saturn transits 6 degrees in 2027 through 2028, emotional discipline and isolation. we look at the 45 degrees dial interpolation, the 8:1 ratio. And the methodology for the 45 degree dial compresses the 360 degree zodiac into 45 degree quadrants. Each degree in the dial represents 8 degrees in the zodiac. So again, we have our step calculation and example. So divide each planet's longitude by 45. So Sun is at 338 degrees, and this is the natal position, or the NP. We divide by 45 and we see 7, remainder 23 degrees. The remainder is a dial position, so Sun 23 degrees. Each quadrant equals 45 degrees. Dial positions are 0 through 45. And now we have the natal 45 degree dial positions. Planet, longitude, 45 degree dial position, and interpretation. So Sun from 338 degrees goes to 23 degrees in 45 dial position. Moon 186 degrees transforms to 6 degrees. Mercury from 348 to 33. Venus from 330 to 15. Mars from 284 to 14. Jupiter from 198 to 18. Saturn from 111 to 21. Uranus from 336 to 21. Neptune from 326 to 11. Pluto from 264 to 39. The Ascendant from 54 to 9. And the midheaven from 300 to 30 degrees. Okay? So now we have our critical 45 degree dial structures. The first being Sun equals Saturn and Uranus. 23 degrees equals 21 degrees, adding 21 degrees. So Saturn, which is at 21 degrees, equals Uranus, 21 degrees. So the natives discipline, Saturn, and innovation, Uranus, are fused. She's a disciplined revolutionary. And we see the Sun is at 23 degrees, equals Saturn and Uranus. The native's identity is a mix of discipline and innovation. That activation, Saturn and Uranus both at 21 degrees in the 45 degree dial, creates a double activation in 2027 through 2029. This is a Saturn-Uranus square that triggers the breakthrough. The second structure here is Venus equals Mars and Pluto. 15 degrees equals 14 degrees, adding 39 degrees. And we see DeepSeek had made a mistake because it says Mars 14 degrees, adding Pluto, and needing to adjust, then needing to recalculate, and then seeing it's not matching and having to find the correct structure. So AI definitely does make mistakes here, people. And the correction is Mars 14 degrees, adding Venus 15 degrees equals 29 degrees, which is not a midpoint. And we see Venus at 15 degrees, adding Pluto 39 degrees equals 54. We subtract 45 from 54 and we get 9 degrees, and that is our ascendant. Next structure is Venus and Pluto equals the ascendant. 15 degrees plus 39 degrees equals 54 degrees. So 54 subtracting 45 equals 9 degrees, and that's our ascendant. So Venus at 15 degrees, Pluto at 39 degrees, and the ascendant is what we get, 9 degrees. So the native's relationships to Venus and transformation Pluto shape her identity, the ascendant. In activation, Pluto transits 39 degrees in 2039 through 2040, psychological transformation and identity shift. We see the next structure wasn't matching, so it also had to be recalculated. And this is what we see here. Mars 14 degrees, adding the ascendant at 9 degrees, we get 23 degrees, and that is our Sun. So structure Sun equals Mars, adding the ascendant, and this indicates the native's identity, which is the Sun, is shaped by her action, Mars, and the self, the ascendant. Okay, Now on to our midpoint analysis. What are midpoints? A midpoint is the precise point between two planets. When a transiting planet activates a midpoint, significant events occur. So we have our key midpoints in the natives chart. So we'll look at the midpoint, the position, the interpretation, and the activation. So, beginning with Sun Moon, we see it's at 22 degrees Scorpio. So the native's core identity and emotions are fused. She's emotionally driven. This aspect, Jupiter conjunct 22 degrees Scorpio in 2029, emotional expansion. Okay. Venus in the midheaven, 15 degrees Capricorn, relationships and career are fused. We see Jupiter conjunct 15 degrees Capricorn in 2028, career breakthrough through relationships. Sun in midheaven, 19 degrees Capricorn, identity and career are fused. Saturn conjunct 19 degrees Capricorn in 2034, identity and career restructuring. Moon Saturn, 14 degrees Sagittarius, emotions and discipline are fused. Jupiter conjunct 14 degrees Sagittarius in 2030, emotional discipline and expansion. Venus Neptune, 2 degrees Pisces, love and spirituality are fused. Neptune conjunct 2 degrees Pisces in 2027, spiritual love. Alright. On to the planetary pictures. This is Uranian Astrology. We have our picture, structure, and interpretation. So Venus, Sun equals the midheaven. We see Venus is 0 degrees, and we add the Sun 8 degrees, and the midheaven is 30 degrees. The native's relationships and identity shape her career. We see the Moon, Saturn equals the ascendant. Moon 6 degrees, adding Saturn 21 degrees, we get the ascendant 24 degrees. The native's emotions and discipline shape her identity. Mars, Pluto equals the midheaven. Mars is 14 degrees, Pluto's is 24 degrees, get 38 degrees, midheaven is 30 degrees. So the native's action and transformation shape her career. Midpoint activation timeline, very important. For 2027 through 2029, we have the period, the midpoint activated, transiting planet, and the event. So for 2027, we see Venus, Neptune, 2 degrees Pisces, Neptune conjunct, spiritual awakening, creative inspiration. Okay. 2028, we see Venus midheaven, 15 degrees Capricorn, Jupiter conjunct, career breakthrough through relationships. 2028, Sun, Moon, 22 degrees Scorpio, Jupiter trine, bringing emotional expansion, personal growth. And at 2029, Moon, Saturn, 14 degrees Sagittarius, Jupiter conjunct, emotional discipline, career structure. Hard aspects. And that is, of course, 45 degrees, 90 degrees, 135 degrees, the karmic structure. So we look at aspects separately here. Semi-square, 45 degree aspects, the pressure points. So we have the aspects, we have the planets, the interpretation, as well as the activation. So first we see 45 degrees with the Sun at 8 degrees, adding Pluto at 24 degrees. So identity and transformation are pressured between 2027 through 2029. 45 degrees, Moon at 6 degrees, adding Uranus 7 degrees. Emotions and innovation are pressured between these same years. And Venus 0 degrees, adding Saturn 21 degrees, relationships and discipline are pressured. Alright. The 90 degree aspects, squares, the crisis points, again the aspect, planets, interpretation, activation, of course 90 degrees. We see its Moon at 6 degrees, adding Mars 14 degrees, emotions and action are in conflict. And we see that still for these occurring years, this window. Venus at 0 degrees, adding Pluto at 24 degrees, relationships and transformation are in conflict. Sun at 8 degrees and Saturn 21 degrees, identity and discipline are in conflict. In the 135 degree aspects, sesqui-squares, so aspect, planets, interpretation, activation. So Mars at 14 degrees, adding Saturn at 21 degrees. Action and discipline are karmically triggered from 2033 through 2035. Sun at 8 degrees and Uranus at 7 degrees. Identity and innovation are karmically triggered between 2027 through 2029. And also between these years, Venus at 0 degrees and Neptune 16 degrees, love and spirituality are karmically triggered. Also see critical harmonic activations with the year, harmonic activation, planets involved, and the event. So, in 2027, 45 degree activation, Sun Pluto, Moon Uranus, bringing identity crises and psychological pressure. In 2028, 90 degree activation, Moon Mars, Venus Pluto, bringing career breakthrough, relationship transformation. In 2029, we see 90 degree activation of Sun Saturn, Venus Saturn, career structure, relationship commitment. In 2033, 135 degree activation, Mars Saturn, Saturn return preparation, and career pressure. Alright, onto the 90 degree dial breakthrough activation, specifically for the years 2027 through 2029, and separated by year, starting with 2027, preparation, you see the 45 degree activation. So we have the dial position, planet, activation, significance. So, for example, in 2027, the dial position 6 degrees, planet Moon activates Saturn conjunct, emotional discipline and isolation. Okay. Dial position 21 degrees, Saturn Uranus, transit, karmic pressure and innovation. And dial position of 23 degrees, Sun, Saturn square, identity crises. And we have the key events 2027, like forecasting. So the native will feel intense pressure on her identity, Sun at 23 degrees. Her emotions, Moon at 6 degrees, will be disciplined by Saturn. The Saturn-Uranus conjunction at 21 degrees will create sudden, fated changes. Okay? In 2028, we have the 90 degree activation, the breakthrough. Okay? Excuse me. So, 14 degrees, Mars, Jupiter conjunct, career action and expansion. Okay? See, 15 degrees, Venus, Jupiter conjunct, relationship and career fusion. 30 degrees, MC, Jupiter conjunct, career breakthrough. And 60 degrees, Venus, Jupiter conjunct, love and creativity expansion. So our key events in 2028, the native will achieve a career breakthrough, MC at 30 degrees. Her relationships, Venus at 15 degrees, will be fused with her career. She will take action, Mars at 14 degrees, that leads to success. And in 2029, we have the 90 degree activation, consolidation. So the dial position, planet, activation, and significance. So 18 degrees, Jupiter transit, expansion and growth. 39 degrees, Pluto transit, transformation and power. 84 degrees Pluto transit, deep psychological transformation. And our key events in 2029, the native's expansion, Jupiter at 18 degrees continues. She undergoes deep psychological transformation. Pluto at 39 degrees divided by 84 degrees. Right, the 45-degree dial, the breakthrough structure. So, specifically for 2027 through 2029, we have the 45-degree dial activation, the dial position, planet, activation, significance. So for example, 6 degrees, Moon, transit, bringing emotional expansion. 9 degrees, Ascendant, transit, identity transformation. 14 degrees, Mars, Jupiter conjunct, career action. 15 degrees, Venus, Jupiter conjunct, love and creativity. 18 degrees, Jupiter transit, expansion. 21 degrees, Saturn, Uranus transit, karmic pressure and innovation. 23 degrees, Sun transit, identity expansion. 30 degrees, MC, Jupiter conjunct, career breakthrough. Venus and Pluto equals ascendant activation. Specifically for this window, this 3-year window. So we have our factor explanation. So Venus, 15 degrees, adding Pluto, 39 degrees, equals the ascendant, 9 degrees. The native's relationships, Venus, and transformation, Pluto, shape her identity, which is the ascendant. And activation. Jupiter conjunct Venus, 15 degrees in 2028, and Pluto transits 39 degrees in 2028 through 2029. And we have the event. Native will experience a relationship that transforms her identity, and she will be seen differently by others. Okay. And we have the Sun equals Mars and ascendant activation. So Mars at 14 degrees, ascendant at 9 degrees, equals the Sun, 23 degrees. So native's action, Mars, and self-ascendant shape our identity, the Sun. Okay? And the activation is Jupiter conjunct the Sun, 23 degrees in 2027 through 2028. The native will take action that defines her identity. She will be recognized for who she is. Cosmobiological transits. Okay. Transits to the midpoints. So in 2027, we have Neptune conjunct Venus-Neptune. Venus-Neptune is at 2 degrees Pisces, spiritual awakening, creative inspiration. 2028, Jupiter conjunct Venus-MC. Venus-MC is 15 degrees Capricorn, career breakthrough through relationships. 2028, Jupiter conjunct the Sun-Moon. Sun-Moon at 22 degrees Scorpio, emotional expansion, personal growth. 2029, Jupiter conjunct Moon-Saturn. Moon-Saturn is at 14 degrees Sag, emotional discipline and career structure. Solar arc midpoints. So we have the year, solar arc, midpoint, and event. So for 2027, we see the solar arc Sun is conjunct to midheaven. So Sun midheaven is 19 degrees Capricorn, identity and career alignment. 2028, solar arc Venus conjunct to midheaven. We look at the Venus midheaven, it's 15 degrees Capricorn, relationships and career alignment. 2029, solar arc Jupiter conjunct to midheaven. Sun midheaven is at 19 degrees Capricorn, so career expansion. All right. We're almost finished. We're going to talk about the breakthrough timeline, Uranian cosmobiological overlay. So in 2027, the age is 22. We're going to look at the quarter, the event, and system activation. So Q1, we see it's identity crisis, emotional isolation, and this is because Saturn is conjunct the Moon and the 45-degree dial. Okay? In Q2, we see spiritual awakening, creative inspiration, and we see Neptune conjunct the Venus-Neptune midpoint. In Q3, we see preparation for breakthrough with Saturn-Uranus conjunction, the 45-degree dial. In Q4, karmic pressure and release, Sun square Saturn on the 90-degree dial. In 2028, at age 23, we're doing the same thing here. In Q1, career opportunity relocation, and Jupiter is conjunct the midheaven in the 90-degree dial. Okay? Career breakthrough in Q2, Jupiter conjunct the Venus midheaven midpoint. In Q3, relationship transformation, Jupiter conjunct Venus, the 45-degree dial. In Q4, financial growth, social expansion, Jupiter conjunct the 11th house, the 90-degree dial. In 2029, at age 24, we're doing the same thing. Oops. Going over a quarter event system activation. So in Q1, we see career consolidation, Jupiter conjunct the Sun-Moon midpoint. Q2 is emotional expansion, personal growth, as Jupiter conjuncts Moon-Saturn midpoint. Q3, deep psychological transformation, Pluto transit, 39 degrees, 45-degree dial. In Q4, financial independence, stability, Jupiter conjunct second house, 90 degrees dial. Okay. Next, we're going to go over trans-Neptunian planets, or Uranian hypothetical planets. And these are the natal trans-Neptunian placements. So Cupido natally is at 18 degrees Taurus, bringing relationships, marriage, and partnership. Hades, 4 degrees Cancer, deep psychological wounds and healing. Zeus at 28 degrees Taurus, authority, leadership, and power. Kronos at 17 degrees Leo, career, public recognition, and authority. Apollon at 26 degrees Libra, expansion, business, and success. Admetos at 8 degrees Capricorn, structure, discipline, and endurance. Volcanus at 13 degrees Aries, action, courage, and willpower. Poseidon at 0 degrees Cancer, spiritual awakening and idealism. Okay. We also look at the trans-Neptunian activations for this window. Okay. So in 2027, we see Apollon, 26 degrees Libra, activated by Jupiter conjunct, and the event is business success and expansion. 2028, we see Kronos at 17 degrees Leo, Saturn squaring, career, authority, and pressure. Also in 2028, Cupido at 18 degrees Taurus, Jupiter trining, bringing relationship breakthrough. In 2029, Zeus at 28 degrees Taurus, Jupiter conjunct, bringing leadership and authority. All right, now I want to go over the complete breakthrough timeline. So in 2027, we have our month, event, and system activation. So January through March, April through June, July through September, October through December. And this is pretty much what we were doing with, the quarters. Okay, so January through March, 2027, identity crisis, emotional isolation, as Saturn's conjunct the moon at the 45-degree dial. April through June of 2027, spiritual awakening, creative inspiration, with Neptune conjunct the Venus-Neptune midpoint. July through September of 2027 is preparation for breakthrough, Saturn-Uranus conjunction on the 45-degree dial. In October through December of 2027, karmic pressure and release. Sun squares Saturn on the 90-degree dial. In 2028, the breakthrough phase. We see January through March, career opportunity relocation with Jupiter conjunct the midheaven on the 90-degree dial. April through June, career breakthrough, Jupiter conjunct the Venus midheaven midpoint. July through September, relationship transformation with Jupiter conjunct Venus on the 45-degree dial. October through December, bringing financial growth, social expansion, as Jupiter is conjunct the 11th house on the 90-degree dial. In 2029, we have the consolidation phase. January through March, career consolidation, Jupiter conjunct Sun Moon midpoint. April through June, emotional expansion, personal growth, Jupiter conjunct Moon Saturn midpoint. July through September, deep psychological transformation, Pluto transit 39 degrees, 45-degree dial. October through December, financial independence, stability, Jupiter conjunct the second house on the 90-degree dial. And the conclusion, the unified verdict with the question and the answer. So, what do Uranian astrology and cosmobiology reveal? The native chart contains multiple eighth harmonic structures indicating intense, fated, and transformative events. Well, when is the breakthrough? 2028. Jupiter conjunct the Venus midheaven midpoint. What systems support this? 90-degree dial, 45-degree dial, midpoints, trans-Neptunian planets. And what should she do? Prepare now, act decisively in 2028, trust the process. All right, so that is the end of that technical report. I'll see you in the next video with peace and love. Piscean out.